What is up, everyone? It's Chewburger84 here from the Alternate Reality Network, and we are back again with some Marvel Strike Force content. Now, this is a follow-up piece to our last video where we showed you the best AIM team in the game right now, and today we're going to show you what the best T4 ability upgrades are for this squad. More importantly, the minimal amount of T4s that you need to really make this team go to the next level, to aim a little higher, if you will. But who's sick of AIM puns this week? So we're going to go through the main 5, which you see on the top row. Now, we know some of you out there have higher 5 red stars on Researcher or Infector, so we're going to show you a couple of alternate options at the end. Now, if you're one of those people that hates watching videos, then we do have an infographic version of this, which is in the links below. So it was nice having you for 8 seconds. Send us your feedback on the infographic. So let's go right into this, folks, kicking off with Scientist Supreme. Now, she has 2 that I believe are necessary to really take this team to the next level. The first one being her passive. Now, this is a team that is quite regularly having some form of debuff, and in raids these days, we're seeing so many health blocks and ability blocks. We're seeing bleeds everywhere. So negative effects are flying around like free candy on Halloween. So if you're able to get 1 to 2 ability energy to every AIM ally on the start of Scientist Supreme's turn, and with our positioning, she's going to be going very, very frequently thanks to AIM Assaulter, this is going to be a great benefit for this team, especially because of Graviton. Graviton has a huge weakness, and that is the sense that his ultimate has a very long cooldown, and on this team, there is no other form of energy distribution. So this is pretty much a necessary upgrade for me, and this is where I would start for this squad. Now, staying on here, of course, is her ultimate. It's probably the most important ability on the whole AIM team when you're running this synergy, because this sets up everyone for everything else. It's applying debuffs to the rest of the entire team, preferably up to 2 or 3 on every single enemy. Now, that's the thing. Just because it says 2 to 3, the enemy has an opportunity to resist this. However, if you put a T4 ability in the level 7 upgrade for Scientist Supreme's ultimate, it is going to gain 50% extra focus for every AIM ally. In other words, that's 200% higher focus, meaning all of your negative effects are going to end up exactly where they are supposed to, and that is on the enemy team. So for these ones, we rank these within our top 5 of necessary upgrades for the AIM main squad. Moving across now, of course, we have Graviton. Now, Graviton has 2 that I believe are absolutely necessary for him as well. The first one being the passive buff to the entire AIM squad. Having a flat extra 10% damage to this team is more important than you'd think, because overall, with the exception of Graviton, they're not the hardest hitting team in the world. Yes, Monstrosity can sure pack a punch, but he's not going regularly enough to really get those solid nukes off, so it's very important to take advantage of every single hit on the board. So this passive is definitely one of your early selects. Then we have the basic ability for Graviton. Now, I know basic ability, a lot of people think, well, it's just a basic, how often am I going to be using it? The reality is with Graviton, it's quite frequently, and this is more of an upgrade than you think. I mean, an extra 50% damage on a character is great on a normal ability, but an extra 25% for every secondary attack that this takes can scale very, very well on an AIM team. Because as we see in the ability description up the top, for every extra negative effect the enemy has, there will be another bonus attack from Graviton. So for example, if we get 4 extra bonus attacks and all of them have this bonus 25% damage, that's realistically another 100% extra damage thanks to this T4, plus that 50% damage on the primary attack, which is an extra 150% damage on a basic. It doesn't seem like a lot at the start, but as the matches go through, and this is more important in matches like Raid, this is really going to add up quickly. So these 2 abilities on Graviton, I believe, are absolutely necessary, although in our top 5, I do believe that the basic there would be the last one that I would do. Now, the last one of the essential T4s here is our AIM Assaulter, and that's on his passive, which I've already done. I can't wait to get some more orange mats to finish this team off. What this basically does is every time he takes a turn, he's going to give 20% turn meter to himself and also his adjacent allies. Now I have him positioned next to Scientist Supreme and also next to the A.I.M monstrosity. This allows the slower character monstrosity to go more frequently, and more importantly, it allows Scientist Supreme to take her ultimate as absolutely maximally as possible. So this is one that I definitely think is necessary to make this team really peak out. Now the good news is those are the 5 abilities that you need maximum. If you have those 5, everything else on top of this is nice to have, but not essential. So the last one that I would put personally on this squad would be the special ability on the monstrosity here. So he's going to gain the offense up before the attack. Now for most of the match, this is really not going to matter. It's only going to have an effect on his first turn. But that's not the reason why we did it. It's just because it is a very cycled around ability. He is going to get a 50% boost to damage. So for a burst, it adds on the opening turn, which is nice, especially because you might be going into a defense down from some of the debuffs that's been thrown out by Scientist Supreme. So that is a nice way to start the match. But that 50% regularly on such a low cooldown, we believe that this ability is definitely a nice one to have. Now, if you are someone that didn't necessarily roll as well on A.I.M Assaulter or A.I.M Monstrosity, then you may have done really well with A.I.M Researcher or A.I.M Infector in regards to in regards to the red stars. So what we're going to do is give you a couple of options if you're rolling with these characters instead, which T4 abilities we would put into these two. So Infector has 2 at the moment. The first one that I would do is this one down here. So first thing is he's going to get a lot more speed bonus when he does this. So his next turn after this is going to cycle much faster, meaning this heal and this ability to put counter on himself and adjacent allies is going to roll around much more frequently. So if I had an A.I.M Infector in this team, this would be the first ability I would put a T4 into, followed very closely. You probably could do these two in either order, to be honest, is the ability to put 2 negative effects on yourself on every start of Infector's turn. Now the reason this one's quite important is because the basic of A.I.M Infector is going to transfer negative effects from this character to the enemy that you are hitting, to your primary target. So you want to be able to stack as many debuffs on the enemy as possible, because that means you're going to be able to stack up a lot more damage out of Graviton, on Monstrosity, and also out of A.I.M Assaulter. Now, if we bounce across to Researcher, there's really only one here that I would ponder doing, and this would only be for raids alone. I don't think Researcher really has a place in any other game mode right now, unless you had a 7 red star. I may think about doing something like this for a very random defensive team in Alliance War. Otherwise, I would really stay away from Researcher outside a raid. And it is this one down here. Because you have so many negative effects flying around on your team, you want to be able to take advantage of that with turn meter. And that is exactly what the Researcher does. It's going to add an extra speed bar boost of 10% off top of the T3, which means that every time a negative effect throws on an A.I.M character, this character's turn is going to come around much faster. Why is that important? We can flip any bleeds into heals on this team, and we can also get some health flipped around for the team as well. So that's just going to help with the sustain on things like Raid. Again, I wouldn't really recommend Researcher anywhere else. Infector, however, I think if you have really high red stars on Infector, subbing out Monstrosity or Assaulter, depending on how your team is looking and which game mode, you certainly can make a case for both of those. But the Security, the Graviton, and the Scientist Supreme are a lock, and the rest of the T4 abilities that we didn't talk about today, I personally wouldn't spend a single one on there. I mean, if I was in Pants of Hulk or something and I was getting all these T4s raining down like there was no tomorrow, of course you'd love to max everything. So the 5 we mentioned at the start, they're the key ones. So we have the 2 on Scientist Supreme, we have the 2 on Graviton, and then we have the speed passive on Assaulter. They're really the only 5 you need to get going. Yes, the monstrosity one is nice to have on the special. Of course, a couple of little flavor ones like having more damage on the AoE for Graviton. The singularity with an extra 50% on the ult is nice as well. But I would really only do these things or some of these other damage boosting abilities on Monstrosity, Assaulter, or Graviton if I rolled 6 or 7 red stars on one of those 3. Otherwise, everyone, save your T4s, use them on your Fantastic Four right now, save them for Coulson over the next couple of weeks. There is definitely better usage, and a team that only needs 5 T4s to max out is a pretty bloody good little team. So I hope you've enjoyed what we've said here today. Again, the infographic that we've created for this, in case you want a text version of this or something to remind you of what we've said, it is available in the link below or also on the Strikeforce Masters of Launch Discord channel. Now, the Strikeforce Masters of Launch is a podcast that I've been doing for over a year with Big Roy Awesome. It's available every Tuesday, and we've got the links below for that one as well. So if you have liked this video, make sure you do the liking, the subscribing, the bell notification so you can make sure that when our old Uncle Chew is loading a video, that you are ready to get it day one. So thank you for stopping by, and until next time, cheers.